Have you ever had a crush, but it was like you were invincible to her? Meanwhile, the guys who didn't even care about her got her attention without even saying anything. Because that's how I felt my entire life. I tried everything, being nice to her, complimenting her every single day. And all I got was just a smile and a thanks before she went back to flirt with the popular guys. I wasn't just unattractive, I was forgettable. I thought that getting jacked would change everything, so I started training 6 times a week for 2 years straight. And yeah, it kinda helped, but only when I was shirtless on the beach, which was like 2 times a year. And that's when I realized the truth. Girls don't really care about the body, they care about your face, aka your looks. But that's when I figured out that just like we can train our body to become more attractive, we can train our face to become more attractive as well. So I went through countless of trials and failures for 8 months just to learn how I could train my face so I could become as attractive as a model. And as crazy as it may sound, it paid off. I started for the first time of my life to getting complimented on my looks from girls. And all of a sudden I started to attract girls after girls, and now I even have a beautiful girlfriend, which I never thought would have been possible when I was younger. That's why in this video I will show you exactly what changed my face, which you can start doing from today. I will show you the 2 facial muscles that will give you such an attractive eye and jaw area. And by the end of this video, I will show you exactly how to fix your bloated and puffy face that are currently hiding all of your bone structures, which is what actually makes us look so attractive. So now let's go to step number 1, which is to train the 2 facial muscles that will completely change your eye and jaw area. So if we start with the eye area, which is called the orbicularis oculi, I will show you exactly what you will fix if you start to train this muscle. So if we take a look at the screen, you can clearly see that there's a before and after picture where on the left side I was only 18 years old and 8 months later is the current me right now. So let me talk to you about what kind of bad traits that we can have for our eyes. And the first one is that you can fix uneven eyes. So if you take a look again, you can literally see with this red arrow here that I literally had, I think it was a negative tilt of like 5 degrees, but on the right side here I have now fixed it to only be 3 degrees. So there's literally a 2-degree difference just because I trained my eyes. So if you have uneven eyes, you can literally fix this just by training the exercise that I'm going to show you in a bit. So the second thing that we can train is something called the ghost look. So the ghost look is basically just where your eyebrows are raised like this, as you can see here. So why I call it the ghost look is basically just if you're scared, your eyebrows are getting raised. Remember that from like the cartoons, right? That is exactly where I get the like wording from. But basically, why we have this ghost look is because our frontalis, which is basically just our forehead muscle, as you can see on this anatomy picture here, it's because we're always tensed up in that muscle. So we don't learn how to relax the frontalis, so our eyebrows will fall downwards. So that is the second thing that I will teach you how to fix. The third thing is a little bit of the same problem with like the ghost look, you know, having tensed frontalis, and that is to fix the upper eyelid exposure. So as you can see here, look at how much upper eyelid exposure that I have, and look at how little I have on the other picture here. I am literally not squinting. You can see in like between my forehead here, there is no wrinkles or anything. So I'm not squinting or anything. This is literally just because I learned how to control my expression, bring it downwards, and then it became normalized over enough time. And the fourth thing, which is the last thing, is something called a negative or neutral canthal tilt. So basically it just means what your eyes are doing. So are your eyes going in a natural position, which is what my genetics are? Maybe yours goes upwards or maybe yours goes downwards, basically just from eye to eye, as you can see here. So that is a neutral, and you could have a negative or positive. But the thing is, we can't change this naturally. You need surgery for that. But you can actually get what's called a perceived looking positive canthal tilt, which basically just means that if you get a positive tilt with your eyebrows, like I've done on the right side here, and you bring your eyebrow down so you get less upper eyelid exposure, and you cover a little bit of your eye, as you can see here. That will literally make you have what's called a perceived looking candle tilt, a positive tilt. So that's just a cool thing that we can do to become more attractive, so we can get the hunter eyes. So basically just the action step that we want to do is something called training our eyes plus doing something called the UUDD method. So let me explain to you exactly what those are. So the first exercise, which is just the eye trainer, is where you take your index fingers and pull it by the end of your eyebrows upwards under kind of your muscle here. Then you just want to think about pulling to the side and a little bit upwards to get a bigger stretch. You'll know that you're doing it correctly when you feel a burn around your eyes, plus your vision gets a little bit blurry. From there, you simply just want to squint down as hard as humanly possible so you activate the muscle, but you don't want to close your eyes. That's the hard part of it. Simply just train this muscle 3 times a week and just do 1 set to failure and you're good to go. The second exercise is something called the UUDD method. It basically just stands for up, up and down, down. So it's very simple. You simply just take your eyebrows and goes upwards, so you kind of make the ghost look specifically for this exercise. So you go upwards, and then what you simply want to do from here is just look upwards, so up, up, and then you want to go downwards with your eyebrows. So really over saturate this movement to learn how to bring your eyebrows downwards. And then what you want to do from here is simply just tilt your head a little bit forward, and then you just want to look slowly downwards again. And now you have like the standard look for the hunter eyes. But just me explaining it over a video won't really get you to know the form correctly. And that is exactly why that I have made a program where I go on one-to-one calls with you, so I can exactly see how you're doing the exercise and correct you so you're doing it properly. So you will save so much time and energy, so you don't have to do all the researching yourself and trying to figure out if you're doing it correctly. It will just save you so much time. If you're interested in this, then go have a look at the top link of the description. All the details are there. So now let's go to muscle number 2. It's actually a bone, but we just called it a muscle to make it easier to understand. And it's called the hiatus bone. So here's what you will fix if you start training this bone. So basically, first of all, if you take a look at the screen, you can see again the before and after. You know the ritual. And then what you will fix is, first of all, you will fix what's called like no jawline definition. So basically the reason for this is because if you take a look at here, you can see that there's so much skin hanging off under my jawline that it's not really visible comparing it to the right side where there's no skin under here. So you can only see like my bone structure, which makes my jawline look so much sharper. So you don't get like caught in 4K like I fucking did on this picture, bro. Fucking assholes just taking a picture of me looking like that. So I already went through the second step, basically. So the third step that you will actually fix is your lowered hiatus bone. So the reason why that we have this skin hanging off is because our hiatus bone, as you can see on the anatomy picture here, is lowered. So that's why you have like skin which looks like fat hanging off under here. And that is literally just because your hiatus bone hasn't been raised up properly, as I have done on the right side here. So the action step that I basically want you to do is very interesting. I want you to train what's called the supra and infra hiatus muscles, because if we train these 2 muscles, you will raise up your hiatus bone. So it's not really the hiatus bone that we train itself, but it's when we train the infra and the supra hiatus muscles, which are around the throat and under like the jaw area here. That's when they become stronger, you will kind of raise the hiatus bone up. So here's the exercise that I want you to do. You simply just want to lie on the edge of the bed, and then you want to have your head hanging off. And then what you want to do from here is simply just think about rolling your neck rolling your chin into your neck. So you kind of do like a chin tuck, but just horizontally. So where you are lying like this with your head, and then you just think about doing a chin tuck from that position. What you want to think about as the cues is that you want to think about rolling your neck, not lifting it. You're not training like specifically the neck muscles, but you want to try to think about training the muscle under here, which is the suprahiatus muscles. And you train that by simply just tucking in your chin like this. That's how you activate it. Simply just train this 3 times a week as well. And then you just want to do 1 set to failure and you're good to go. You know that you're doing it correctly if you feel a burn around here. So now that we have covered the facial muscles that we can train, now let's go to step number 2, which is how to debloat your face. So I want you to understand 2 things. There's something called short-term solutions and there's something called the long-term solutions. We want to do the long-term solutions, because the short-term solutions, sure, they will help right now in like 1 day or so, but you will just be back to normal basically right afterwards. And we don't really want that, right? We want to constantly look good and have a debloated face. So the short-term solutions is things like icing your face, going to sauna, and then using something called gua sha. When you do these things, you get like instant results, but they will just go away after like some hours, maybe even some minutes. I don't really recommend doing these things, other than if you're going on like a date. It can just be a good tip to like quickly just look a little bit better. So in that situation, sure, go for it. But we want to do the long-term solutions. So the long-term solutions that you can do is to learn the difference between sodium and potassium. So sodium is basically just electrolytes that you have that you get from like food. So for example, it's salt, it's from fast food, such things, which we really want to avoid getting. Only get like salt if it's naturally come from like the food. For example, from like fish, there's always some salt, of course. So like take it from that. But you don't want to specifically add salt onto your food. You kind of want to avoid that if you want to debloat your face. Then you want to get more potassium. And potassium is things like you have in bananas, spinach, such things. Also red meat actually, there's also a lot of it in those kind of foods. You just want to simply maximize getting that kind of food. Then you can stay more hydrated, because the thing is, people try to think that then I just need to drink less water, but your body is too smart for that. So it will start taking water from like the rest of your body and bring it up to your face to keep you hydrated. So stay hydrated. The next step that you want to think about is to eat more protein and less carbs, because the thing is, carbs is carbohydrates. So basically what this means is that you will hold on to more water weight. That's what carbs does. It holds on to more water. So you simply just want to reduce the amount of carbs, eating like rice, pasta, these kind of things. And then want to eat more protein so you stay more fuller, so you can also go on a calorie deficit, so you won't gain as much weight, so you can lose all the puffiness in your face. If you found this advice to be really valuable, then just imagine how much that you're gonna get inside of my program, because I literally have guides and courses on exactly how to do these things, but also how to do skin maxing, so how to get rid of acne, also hair maxing, how to find the hairstyle which is the perfect one for your style of shape. So not only does my program have these full guides, but I also go on calls with you frequently, like every week, so I can literally help you step by step and figuring out what your problems are, so you don't have to think about that yourself. And if you're interested in that, then go have a look at the top link of the description. All the details are there. So now that we are at the end of this video, I really want to say a thank you for watching this far. Think about how productive that you've been. You could have done so many other things, like scrolling on Instagram, watching like high dopamine YouTube like Mr. Beast, but you chose to educate yourself. And that is exactly why that I know that this channel will be exactly for you. So if you want to learn about more on how to look max and become more attractive, then I will highly recommend you to go down and click subscribe to my channel. And if you want to keep on learning, then go have a look at this video over here. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day, bro. Mwah.